Good morning, students. I hope you are studying regularly at home. So children, we all know that Indian subcontinent has a variety of people and cultures in it. Right? Ruling it was an extremely difficult task. Quite in contrast to their predecessors, the Mughals created an empire. From the later half of the 16th century, they expanded their kingdom from Agra and Delhi. Until the 17th century, they controlled nearly all of the subcontinent. Students, they imposed structures of administration and ideas of governance that outlasted their rule, leaving a political legacy that succeeding rulers of the subcontinent could not ignore. Now, children, let us know more about Mughals. The Mughals were descendants of two great lineages of rulers. From their mother's side, they were descendants of Genghis Khan, the Mongol ruler who ruled over parts of China and Central Asia. From their father's side, they were the successors of Timur, the ruler of Iran, Iraq, and modern day Turkey. However, the Mughals did not like to be called Mughal or Mongol. Do you know why? Let me tell you. This is because Genghis Khan's memory was associated with the massacre of innumerable people. It was also linked with the Uzbeks, their Mongol competitors. On the other hand, the Mughals were proud of their Timurid ancestry because their great ancestor had captured Delhi in 1398. Children, Babur was the first Mughal emperor. He succeeded to the throne of Fargana in 1494. You all would be very amazed to know that he was only 12 years old at that time. He was forced to leave his ancestral throne due to the invasion of another Mongol group, the Uzbeks. After years of wandering, he seized Kabul in 1504. Later, in 1526, he defeated the Sultan of Delhi, Ibrahim Lodi, at Panipat and captured Delhi and Agra. Students, the Afghans were an immediate threat to Mughal authority. Now children, let us study about all the Mughal rulers one by one. Can you tell who was the first Mughal ruler? Yes, you are right. Babur was the first Mughal emperor. He ruled from 1526 to 1530. We have already learnt that in 1526 he defeated Ibrahim Lodi and his Afghan supporters at Panipat. In 1527 he defeated Rana Sanga, Rajput rulers and allies at Khanwa. Moreover, in 1528 he defeated the Rajputs at Chanderi, after which he established control over Agra and Delhi before his death. After Babur, Humayun came into power. He was the son of Babur. Children, recall the previous chapter of history. We came to know about the fact that rule went into the hands of one person who was either from the next generation of king or the slave. Can you tell what is the other name of slave dynasty? Yes, you are thinking it right. Early Turkish rulers is the other name of slave dynasty. However, Humayun divided his inheritance according to the will of his father. His brothers were each given a province. The ambitions of his brother Mirza Kamran weakened Humayun's cause against Afghan competitors. Furthermore, Sher Khan defeated Humayun at Chausa in 1539 and Kannauj in 1540, forcing him to flee to Iran. Later, in Iran, he received help from the Safavid Shah. He recaptured Delhi in 1555 but died in an accident the following year. Students, we can notice that Humayun ruled Delhi two times, first from 1530 to 1540 and then from 1555 to 1556. Right? After him, Akbar became ruler. He was 13 years old when he became emperor. His rule can be divided into three periods. First, from 1556 to 1570, he became independent of the regent Bairam Khan and other members of his domestic staff. Now you all must be thinking, what is regent? He is a person who governs a kingdom in absence or disability of the king. Also, military campaigns were launched against the Suris and other Afghans, against the neighboring kingdoms of Malwa and Gondwana, and to suppress the revolt of his half-brother Mirza Hakim and the Uzbeks. In 1568, the Sisodia capital of Chittor was seized, and in 1569 Ranthambore. In the second period, which was from 1570 to 1585, military campaigns in Gujarat were followed by campaigns in the east in Bihar, Bengal and Orissa. These campaigns were conflicted by the 1579 to 1580 revolt in suppress of Mirza Hakim. In the third period, which was from 1585 to 1605, Akbar's empire expanded. Let us discuss how. Campaigns were launched in the northwest. Gandhar was seized from the Safavids. Kashmir was added as an extra part, as also Kabul after the death of Mirza Hakim. Campaigns in the Deccan started and Berar. Khandesh and parts of Ahmednagar were also added as a subordinate part. In the last years of his rule, Akbar was distracted by the rebellion of Prince Salim, the future Emperor Jahangir. Jahangir's period was from 1605 to 1627. In this period, military campaigns started by Akbar continued. In addition to this, the Sisodia ruler of Mewar, Amar Singh, accepted Mughal service less successful campaigns against the Sikhs, which were followed by the Ahoms and Ahmednagar. Prince Khurram, the future Emperor Shah Jahan, rebuilt in the last years of his rule. Now children, we all have heard of Taj Mahal, right? Shah Jahan built it. He was the next Mughal emperor after Jahangir. He rebuilt and defeated the Afghan noble Khan, Jahan Lodi. Campaigns were launched in his period. The Bundels were defeated and Oria seized. In the northwest, the campaigns to seize Balkh from the Uzbeks was unsuccessful and Kandahar was lost to the Safavids. In 1632, Ahmednagar was finally added and the Bijapur force sued for place. In 1658, there was a conflict over succession amongst Shah Jahan's sons. Aurangzeb was victorious and his three brothers were killed. Shah Jahan was imprisoned for the rest of his life in Agra. Aurangzeb ruled from 1658 to 1707. In the northeast, the Ahoms were defeated in 1663, but rebuilt again in 1680s. Campaigns in the northwest against the Yusufzai and the Sikhs were temporarily successful. Mughal intervention in the succession and internal politics of the Rathore Rajputs of Marwar led to their rebellion. Campaigns against the Maratha chieftain Shivaji were initially successful, but Aurangzeb insulted Shivaji, who escaped from Agra, and declared himself an independent king. Also, he resumed his campaigns against the Mughals. Moreover, Prince Akbar rebelled against Aurangzeb and received support from the Marathas and the Deccan Sultanate. He finally fled to Safavid, Iran after Akbar's rebellion. Aurangzeb sent armies against the Deccan Sultanate. Bijapur was annexed in 1685 and Golconda in 1687. From 1698, Aurangzeb personally managed campaigns in the Deccan against the Marathas, who started guerrilla warfare. Aurangzeb also had to face the rebellion in North India of the Sikhs, Jats and the Satnamis, in the northeast of the Ahoms and in the Deccan of the Marathas. His death was followed by succession conflict amongst his sons.